Hi there everyone, hope you are well. Welcome to another Mindset Monday. Today we are going to talk about how to keep going when it gets hard, how to keep moving forward and to not get stuck when things get difficult in a creative project. So yeah, let's get into it.
Misty blue sky, take me on your treasure dive. I've got nothing to lose.
So this is a topic that often shows up when I ask on Instagram, for example, if you want me to create content about something, if you are struggling with something, and if I can help, then this often shows up in many different shapes. So it might be, for example, that you are struggling with a messy middle and want some advice on how to get through that. Or it might be that you have gotten stuck and been away from project for some time and want advice on how to pick it up again and get going again. Or it might be that you are struggling with shiny object syndrome and want to know how to stick with the project through the difficult parts. So these are all examples of this. How do we keep going when it gets tough in a project? How do we move forward? We often arrive at this difficult part of the process when we're moving further into a project. So I see this when I'm working with coaching clients, for example, that our first call, things are pretty much smooth sailing. They're excited, we're sort of establishing the ground of the project and how they want to move forward, and they are excited, everything is going well for a couple of weeks, and then by our second or third call, that's when things sort of start happening, and that's when we're coming up against the struggles of the project, whether they are practical or mindset issues that they are dealing with. So yeah, I am so used to walking through the messy bits. As a coach, that is what I consider to be my main job as a coach. Being able to deal with the hard parts and move forward through the hard parts is a very important part of creating, an important part of the creative process. So, what do we do then when we find ourselves in a difficult spot in our creative process? How do we move forward? So the first step is to accept. Accept that the creative process isn't perfect. It isn't smooth. It isn't something that you can just dance through. Accept that there will be hard parts. There will be messy parts. I think you have probably all seen the little graph of how a creative project feels. In the beginning you're excited, and then it starts to get a little bumpy, and then you might feel okay again, and then you feel like everything's shit, and then finally you feel okay again. And this is very true. It's very true that the creative process has ups and downs, and there are going to be hard parts. It's true with every project. I have been through many hard parts in my creative journey, and that is okay. It's okay that it gets bumpy, it's okay that it gets messy, you will get through it. The second step is to come back to your personal why and your vision for the project. And this is why I think it's so good to actually define your personal why for a project. I have another video on that if you want to watch that. And this is when we really need that personal why. So the personal why states why we want to do a project, what it means for you. And coming back to that in the parts that when it feels tough, when you feel like you want to give up, or at least you feel like you can't do it, coming back to why you're doing it is so important. When it doesn't feel joyful in the moment, we need to be able to come back to the longer perspective and see that yes, it is tough right now. This is a bumpy part of the process, but it is worth it because I really do want to do this. And to come back to that is very important and also very impactful. So ask yourself, why are you doing this project? What has it already brought you that is good? And why do you really want to keep going with it even if it's hard? The third step is to remind yourself of the progress you've already made, how far you've already come, and the tough parts you have been through before and that you got through them as well. So it might be with this project, with another project, or in life in general, something that you have faced that was hard, that you felt at some point that, oh, I can't do this, and you did get through it. So there have been times in your life that has happened, And then that means it can happen again. You will get through this as well. You can do hard things. I 100% believe that, because I see it with all my clients. I see it with so many creatives that it feels hard, it feels impossible in the moment, it feels like you want to give up. But that is just a phase, it's just a part of it, and it's a part that will eventually end, and you will get through it to the other side. So remind yourself of the times that have been tough in the past and that you have gotten through them. And maybe there are also a few cues there of how you've gotten through hard parts in the past and how you can use that to get through this one as well. The fourth step is to accept the challenge. So whenever we face a problem, an issue, a block in our creative journey, it means that we are being challenged. And this is part of the work as a creative. There are parts of the creative process that are hard, that forces you to grow, that forces you to learn things you have never done before, and that is part of it. And you are coming up at that challenge, and you are at the crossroads. Will you choose to accept the challenge, or will you go up and throw in the towel? I think you will face the challenge. I think 100% that it's possible for you to face this challenge, and you have to make the decision to do that. You are at this point of your creative journey being tested, and this is a test that will force you to grow. Every time we're doing hard things, it will make you grow as a creative, and it's through these hard parts that we do our best and most creative growth. So keep going. And finally, the fifth step is self-care, and this is important. So you are doing something that is challenging you, something that is hard. And whenever we do that, we also need to care for ourselves. We are not going to be any better if we start blaming ourselves or feel like we're a failure or thinking that, oh, I should be able to do this. Just try to let all those thoughts go and instead embrace that you're doing something that is hard, you're doing something that will make you grow. And for that, be grateful towards yourself, and also take care of yourself. Do whatever it is that makes you feel good, whatever self-care habits, routines that you have that you can tap into, and just support yourself through this rough part of the process. And if this is something that is going on for a longer time, if you're struggling to get through a rough part of the creative process, also consider getting some help. This is what I do as a creative coach. I help people get through the messy parts. And often when they come with a project, when clients come with a project to me, yes, we get through everything that is the basics of the project. I help them get up and running. But really when we get into it, it's the messy parts that I, as a coach, help people get through. Because that's when they really need me. So if you are struggling with a creative project in particular, don't just try to do everything on your own. Get some help, whether it's from a coach, whether you talk to another creative friend who has been through something similar, or if you just tap into the creative community online. So yeah, that is today's Mindset Monday. And I hope you got some tips for the rough parts of the creative process that you can come back to when you're there. Let me know in the comments as well if there's something that is challenging you right now in your creative journey, and I will cheer you on. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a little like if you did. If you're new here, hello and welcome. You can subscribe down below, and I will see you in the next video.